Hello, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me in the world. So, a few days ago, I dropped a message on budgeting, and I got a few questions that I would like to respond to. So, somebody asked, um, is it necessary to budget if you don't have an income or if you just lost your job? And I think that is a very important and valid question because I've also been there a few times, so I can share a little bit of what I did in those times. One thing I always like to say is that budgeting is not only for those who have an income, it's for everybody. As long as you're going to spend money in those moments, whether the money is coming from your savings or it's coming from gifts from friends or support from other sources, you need to budget as you spend, because if you don't do that, you're going to begin to spend more than you have means for, and that's going to keep you in that season for longer. So it's always good to have the mindset that you're going to budget through every season, whether things are good and plenty or they are not so good and scarce. You need to have the mindset that you need to keep record of everything. So, for example, you just lost your job, no income, you don't know when the next job is going to come around, but you have a little savings that you want to live off of. Now, most of the time, what people do is they just go ahead and start spending from their savings, and they would stop the process of saving. Some will say, well, how can I be saving from my saving? Well, the idea is to maintain the lifestyle that you are used to. So, for example, you're maintaining the flow of how you treat your finances, regardless of where the income is coming from. So, so I remember in 2022 or thereabout, when I lost my primary source of income, I had to, of course, live off my savings, which and that's why I've always said that savings is so important. It will help you to stay alive before through the difficult times, so that when that season passes, you have a chance to bounce back. And during this period, I would save. I'll take from my savings, but I would apply the same principles, which means I would have my expenses and I have my savings as well. Now, you will ask yourself, why am I saving from a savings? Well, it's just maintaining the flow, because what you have set in motion as your lifestyle will most likely attract the details of what is going to maintain that lifestyle. So, for example, for a few months I kept doing that, and it was the savings that I saved from my savings, if I can put it that way, that gave me the buffer to go and start again. So I went back with that little and I was able to grow it into a bit more, and that gave me more room to grow. And that's why I said that if whatever you're doing, whether you have a steady income or not, as long as there is some form of spending that is emanating from you. Because, for example, if you lose your job and you still have money to spend, whether it's coming from savings or from support from family and friends, it's still income, right? And you have to treat it like that, because if you just treat it as, after all, it's not my money, you're going to put yourself in that place for a longer time. Now, for those who are unemployed, you don't have any source of income. If you're going to spend, if you're depending on others for your expenses during that period, of course, there may not be much need to budget, because you don't have, you're not making expenses. The budgeting will be on the person's side who is supporting you. But if they are giving you the money to spend, then that is no longer it's just like somebody who is getting unemployment benefits. That's some income right there, and you can budget that, which means that, for example, if you lose your job or your source of income and you're still expending at the same rate you were expending before that happened, you're going to struggle to live through that period. So it's important for you to understand that whether your income is there or not, you have to have a system that compels you to, spend within a certain framework, right? So for example, I have a principle: I never expend more than 70% of my income, no matter what the situation is. Which means most of the time I would have to consciously cut off certain things that I like or that I want and put them off till later. Now, this has definitely helped me build some sort of discipline in approaching my finances. So I am not attached to anything. I can let go of anything at any time because I understand that there's time for everything. If I don't eat what I want now, I can eat it tomorrow. If I don't buy what I would need now, I can, and that's why budgeting first of all focuses on your essentials, those things that you need to live, at least to stay alive. Because in the season where your income is limited, you have to also manage the resources that you have. You can't say, oh, I can't come and kill myself, and then you are spending more than what you have access to. You're going to leave a deficit that will be difficult to cover even when you do get an income. That's why most people, they live hand to mouth, because they always have a deficit that the next income will most likely being being halved or taking a hit before it even gets into your hands. And that's why it's so important for you to be a little bit more conscious of everything that is going on in your finances. How much is coming in, how much is going out, what are these things going out for, right? So for example, somebody will say, oh, so some of us, for example, we complain we don't have money to take courses to improve ourselves and our income. But you have all the streaming services. You're paying for Netflix, you're paying for Prime, you're paying for Max, almost all the streaming services. You are paying for it. It's not your village people that is your problem. You are your own problem. And this thing is so important to pay attention to, because it might mean the difference between living a comfortable life and struggling all your life, right? And this is not just theoretical, because a lot of people think that, oh, you can say that because you're a little bit more comfortable. Well, that's not always the case. There was a period where my income was not even enough to cover my transport fare to and from work. So what I did in those seasons is I used to trek longer distances. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit fit, because I used to trek long distances so that I can have a little bit to save. Because I understand that if I don't save, I will not have resources to improve myself, which will then translate to, of course, better circumstances later. You get the point? So this is the whole idea, regardless of your income status, as long as you're going to be expending from somewhere, whether it's from a loan, whether it's from your savings, whether it's from family and friends giving you something to, hold on to in the meantime, those are income that you should budget as well. But if, for example, the expenses you're making those period is not coming from you, somebody else is making them on your behalf, then you are not responsible for that. It's the other person who should be budgeting and be sure that they are not doing more than themselves. You get my point? So that's my quick response to that, and I hope that you have a little bit more understanding on how this works. If you need any more, please send more questions in the comment section. I'm happy to tackle as many as you have. Thank you for your time.